We have quite a day for us here. I don't know that there is anyone who could be possibly listening to this program by now who's not aware that the President of the United States, despite the fact that he has said on multiple occasions that the coronavirus really doesn't impact anybody. I mean, nobody important has contracted the coronavirus, as has Melania Trump contracted the coronavirus. Presumably it's from Hope Hicks, who it was reported yesterday had contracted the coronavirus. Donald Trump was infected the night of the debate. It is unclear whether he was spreading the virus at that time. You're in a closed room. You're maybe 10 feet away from Joe Biden. Of course, you're yelling and you're screaming, and in an unhinged way, perhaps he infected Joe Biden. We don't know. We really don't know who else in his circle has contracted it. I mean, there are the results have come back for Pence. At least it's been reported that he is negative. But of course, Hope Hicks was reported negative and the next day reported positive. So it's very difficult to know. We do know that Donald Trump knew that Hope Hicks was infected and then went, I think it was to the Bedminster Country Club, and met with high donor supporters. So I guess, I don't know if they meant to do it this way, but very often what will happen is when you go to see donors, they get some type of, commemorative, I don't know, photo or plaque. That's my understanding with high money donors. I don't think that the president meant to give them coronavirus as some type of commemorative, thing. That would be bizarre. But it's quite possible that's what happened. The level of irresponsibility that the Trump administration, that the White House has been engaging in has been apparent to everyone for months, both in terms of the way that they have made it very, very difficult to contain this virus throughout the country because of the misinformation they have disseminated, because of the, in some instances, I don't know, you call it misinformation. I mean, it was outright lies about the coronavirus. And it now appears that that level of irresponsibility has been, has also taken place amongst Trump staffers, amongst national security folks, people who work in our government, perhaps the people who protect the president, Secret Service, maybe military personnel, Marines. It's stunning. And I know there's a lot of people who are celebrating this. I don't know that it's particularly a time to celebrate. I also know, I would imagine there are many conservatives out there who are angry at the president for having a complete lack of personal responsibility. That seems to me to be a little bit extreme, but maybe, that is in line with their principles, as it were. What is really chilling now is to watch some of the clips that have taken place over the past couple of days in the debate, following the debate, and sort of see these in the context that they were. Let's play this clip of Donald Trump. We will play it again. Donald Trump mocking Joe Biden for being so overly cautious about wearing his mask. Understand that every single word that Donald Trump is saying here is accompanied with, more than likely, a certain amount of virus being projected out.
President Trump, you have begun to increasingly question the effectiveness of masks as a disease preventer. And in fact, recently you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching plates. Are you questioning
No, I think
the
masks
efficacy
are okay.
of
You have
masks?
to understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on, when I think I need it. Tonight, as an example, everybody's had a test, and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to. But I wear masks when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen. I will say this.
Vice President Biden, go ahead, sir.
Look, the way to open businesses is give them the wherewithal to be able to open.
Okay, we don't need to see any more. I mean, I imagine Chris Wallace is getting a test this morning, if he hasn't already. I wouldn't want to be on a plane that is actually lower than the president in that situation, because we know it aerosolizes. We know that tends to drop a little bit. It depends on the humidity in there. There he is.
Here's some guidance about singing and yelling and is dangerous. So.
And, I mean, really, it's going to come down to, we still don't know the perfect timeline yet. Now, understand, the White House, their intention was to not let anyone know, this is according to the New York Times, to not let anyone know that Hope Hicks was infected. They knew this apparently on Thursday early. I don't think Donald Trump knew that he was infected at that time. It's just, we just don't know the timeline, so we don't know how infectious he was. It's unbelievably, it's both unbelievable and totally believable. And, for those people who are, look, if I were in the practice of issuing individual best wishes to the 7 million people who have contracted coronavirus in this country, to the hundreds of thousands who have died, to the even more of those people who have been hospitalized, if I was in the practice of wishing best wishes to those people, I would do that now for the president and for the first lady. But I'm not. And until I have the time to issue best wishes to all those people, you won't hear me do it for the president. I have no special affinity for the president. What's really disturbing on some level is, my 15-year-old daughter is like, he deserves it. And she's not getting that from me. She's a sentient human being. She has seen what he has done to the country. She goes to a school of 4,500 kids, a lot of whom are immigrants. She had Muslim students in her class when Donald Trump was elected and was talking about the Muslim ban. She has friends of all different races and backgrounds. She's fully aware of what kind of person Donald Trump is as an individual, or not really so much as an individual, because who knows? Certainly as a president. And it's sort of sad that my parents would talk about where they were on the day that JFK was shot, and they would talk about the horror of it. And there's generations of young people, in particular, young people, who are going to, who potentially could be talking about this day in a very different manner than people talk about where they were, where JFK was. And, I think that's the responsibility of the president. I think that's the responsibility of the president. She is fully aware of how Donald Trump has, and everyone is. Now, the president said it was a hoax, a Democratic hoax. How just days ago, nobody really gets it. Nobody gets sick from it. Only if you got diabetes, I think he said, or something to that effect. Let's look at this clip. This is a comedy bit by Donald Trump Jr. and Sean Hannity moments after the debate. Presumably, I mean, I don't know if we've heard if Don Jr. has been tested. He very well may have antibodies. Remember, his girlfriend was Kim Guilfoyle had it. Incidentally, there's also a massive piece in the New Yorker by Jane Mayer about Kim Guilfoyle, where a former employee over at Fox charges her with all sorts of really inappropriate things, ranging from sexual harassment to inappropriate treatment as her employee. But let's play this clip of Donald Trump Jr. and Sean Hannity. This is Donald Trump Jr. making a joke. And all of this stuff seems really sort of eerie now. Now, we don't know. Maybe Donald Trump Jr. had not been that close to his father or Hope Hicks or Melania to get infected, or maybe he already had antibodies. I'm not sure. We don't know. And who knows? Maybe Sean Hannity was that close too. But here's their exchange. This is funny stuff, folks.
Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., we both have been COVID tested.
We've been tested. I don't want to get, they'll throw us in the gulag.
Where's my mask?
Close.
Yeah. All right, so you're sitting in here.
Oh, my God. Where's my mask? Hope Hicks was tested, I believe it was on Tuesday, right? And or Wednesday. She tested negative on one day, and the next day she tested positive. Which means that somewhere in between that time, I mean, first off, we don't know if the first test was just simply inaccurate, or she hadn't, there was not enough viral load to register at that point. At one point over the course of that 24 hours, at the very least, there was. So we don't know. I mean, that joking around and not taking it seriously. And look, if they're sitting in a bar and they're doing that with each other, it's none of our business. There's no implications other than the people that they deal with in their personal lives. But when they do that on television, when they do that in the context of modeling for millions of people, I'm sorry, they have an obligation to society. And when they fail at that obligation willfully, with such righteousness in their failure to do so, I'm sorry, the idea of feeling any sympathy for these people is absurd. It's absurd. It's offensive. It's offensive. It really is. I find it offensive. Frankly, these people have an obligation. And they, people make mistakes. And I don't think that you should be, that happens. But this isn't a mistake. This isn't an accident. This is a willful, premeditated, in many instances, attempt to diminish the reality of a pandemic that has killed over 200,000 people in this country alone, never mind the tens, possibly hundreds of thousands of people who will have a lifetime of medical issues, the millions who are now ineligible for health insurance if these people get their way. I'm sorry, it's offensive to me to show them an iota of more sympathy unless you have been, as a practice, doing that for every single individual in the country who has contracted this. I thought this was going to be a little more light, but I'm sorry. I really do. I find it just disgusting. Really disgusting. Because we don't know the extent of this. We don't know if Donald Trump infected Joe Biden. We don't know how many senators are infected. We don't know how many, like I said, staffers, people who, they just have a job where they're supposed to drive the president somewhere. And there was no one who could say, Mr. President, maybe you should wear a mask. Or Mr. President, maybe these people around you, I know it makes you feel uncomfortable, they should wear a mask. There are reports that there was a doctor at the debate. They had it at the Cleveland, I can't even remember the name of it now. Cleveland Clinic. And there was a doctor who went over with masks to hand to the essentially the Trump entourage, and the doctor was waved off, even though it was protocol, even though that was the rules. They're above the rules. And I don't know if Donald Trump is going to get sick. I don't know if Melania Trump is going to get sick. Somebody is going to get very, very ill, at least. And it's quite possible somebody's going to die specifically because of their very narrow behavior. I don't express sympathy for people like that. There's too much. There's too many people in line before them that I don't have time to get to.
Not enough time.
There's not enough time. They don't get to skip the line because they are celebrities who also happen to have done some horrible, horrible, horrible things. That just doesn't work that way with me.